G'day, I'm Garth Mikowski and I'm here today in Sydney with Aaron Shiner at the Recharge training event. And I've grabbed Aaron, pulled Aaron aside. We've got some questions we'd like to ask him. And so Aaron, look, I'd like to talk to you about, what do you think are the 3 top things in your career as a salesperson that have turbocharged it and made the biggest difference?
All right, let's break it down, right? Quick interview, 3 things that have had the greatest impact on my business. The first one, without a doubt, is knowing what I actually want out of the business, right? When I got into it, being really clear, crystal clear on the outcomes that I wanted regarding the amount of prospecting calls I was going to make, to the amount of listing appointments that I was going to go to the amount of buyer inspections I was going to do. I knew every single number to the T. So instead of just focusing on how many, what the end goal is in regards to how much commission or how many sales or how many listings, I knew what my daily actions were going to be and I knew exactly what my output was going to be. So if I knew that I wanted to reach 200 exclusive listings a year, I knew exactly what I had to do in regards to how many times I had to pick up the phone, who I had to connect with, and I also knew that I had to build a database. I knew that I had to build a contact list. So when you look at the first thing that turbocharged my business, I was really clear what I actually wanted out of the business. You can't hit a bullseye unless you know what you're aiming for. So from that point of view, I went in it with my eyes open and I knew exactly what it is that I wanted to achieve, right? When you say number 2, what's the next thing that helped me? And I think for me it was about having a system, having a process like McDonald's. McDonald's is one of the biggest companies on the planet that is run fundamentally by 16-year-old kids, right? And how was that done? How was that achieved? And they have a process, they have a system. So I look at our business in real estate and we're a micro business. It's a mum and dad on a corner shop and everybody does something a different way. I thought, great, that's fantastic and it works on a much smaller level when you're doing 3 or 4 listings a month, but as soon as you start to increase your volume, as soon as you start to increase the amount of turnover that you want to achieve, all of a sudden the wheels fall off, the vendors don't get called, the reports don't go out, and a little bit of that care that you can give somebody when you're one-on-one gets lost when you're going one-to-many. So for me it was about having a process where McDonald's, as I said, 16-year-old kids run one of the biggest companies on the planet. I thought, how do I systematize, how do I systemize, how do I suppose, make my business like a little mini McDonald's? So I come up with a standard operating procedure. That's one big thing. On every single thing that happens in my business, there's a predetermined outcome in regards to we know what letter's going to get sent out on what day, what SMS, what template, what phone call, what script goes with that phone call. Okay, do we use it all to the letter? No, but it is a very good guide. So for me, when you look at it as a summary, first one is knowing what I want, and 2, getting a system. I think one of the old quotes is, if you're going to do something more than once, you've got to have a system for it. So they're 2 of the big things. And I think for me, the 3rd one would realistically be build a pipeline. Know where your next listing is going to come from. Make sure you stay in contact with those people. I've always made it a habit. Every appraisal I've ever done, every person I've sold a property to, I want to make sure that I stay in contact with those people. And a good question that I always ask other agents is, especially if they've been in the business of 5, 10, 15 years, I say, just imagine if we stayed in contact with every single person we ever sold a property to, or we sold a property for, or even did an appraisal for, what would your business look like? And typically the answer is, well, Aaron, I wouldn't be here now. I would have made my money and retired. So from that point, building that pipeline is one thing. But then again, it comes down to people say, well, okay, it's great to be able to build a pipeline, but how do I track people? So the thing that's helped me massively in the marketplace is having some strong, solid points of difference. Unique selling propositions, or pods, point of difference. So for me, why is somebody going to be choosing me over another agent in my marketplace today when we're sitting at a table, or why are they going to call me over my competitors? So you want to make sure you sit down with a pen and paper, 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and go, right, what are my points of difference in the marketplace, and be really crystal clear around that. And one of mine simply is making sure I follow up all those past clients, all those past appraisals, all those past purchases, all those past sellers, because I want to make sure that when they do think about selling, they think of me because I've sent them anniversary letters, I've been in contact. So that's one of my major points of difference. Not telling them that I'm better, but actually showing them over a period of 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. So they're the things that have realistically helped my business. So in summary, number 1, make sure we know what we want. Number 2, we want to make sure we've got some unique selling point propositions, and again, just making sure we've got a database and we're staying in contact with some people.
That's excellent advice. I think especially for any business owner out there that's looking to reinvent themselves or their business, and they're not, writing the volume they want to write. So I think that planning, preparation, execution comes into play. That's excellent.
Terrific.
Aaron, another question. What about if you're talking to a young rookie or someone wanting to leave another industry, come into real estate? What would you suggest would be the 3 areas that they should focus in on as they're entering the industry to make sure that they hit a home run in those first 6 months?
It's good, isn't it? Because you got to start with the end in mind. And it's funny because in real estate, the average lifespan in regards to the career of a real estate agent is about 6 to 8 months. They come, they sort of wait around, try and get a feel for it. Some bind and graft and grow. Some flounder and give up and say it's too hard. And I see plenty of good people with plenty of potential leave the industry. So if I'm sitting here with a new agent today, the first thing I'm going to say to them is simply this: real estate is an apprenticeship. Those first 6 to 12 months is that thing called the boom period. That's where you've got to stay back late, get in early, put in a little bit of sweat equity, because here's the bottom line: you're either going to pay now or you're going to pay later. And what I see a lot of people do is they leave right when they're on the cusp of success, because there's this thing called lag time where you're doing all these actions, you're working hard.
The pipeline's filling up.
Your pipeline's filling up, but you're not seeing any immediate now business. And you think, is it all worth it? So I think for me, you got to go in with it to the mindset. This isn't a job where you just get your 9 to 5 pay and you go home and all will be right tomorrow. You've got to understand, when you sign up to real estate, you sign up to it good, bad, or indifferent. And I think you've also got to understand that this is an apprenticeship. It's not going to take 12 months. It probably isn't even going to take 2 years. It's going to take 3 years for people to remember who you are, what you do, as long as, again, like Macca's, they've got a marketing plan. We stay in contact regularly. We're giving something of value. We're staying in contact. We're sending them market reports. We're giving them recent sale updates. And we're finding reasons to communicate with our clients. Because here's the thing: I've seen plenty of agents with great listing skills. They all know how to present. They all know how to sell marketing. But one thing that they probably didn't do was sell themselves well. And what I mean by that is nobody knew who they were in the marketplace. So they were saying, I'm really good, so come to me now. And here's the thing: that's like being the world's best secret agent. There's no point. People have to know who you are and what you do. So from an agent coming into the industry, where do I start? Make sure you get around some like-minded people. Make sure you get around some good, strong real estate agents that are going to show you the way. Somebody that's been there before you. That's thing number one. Make sure you know it's an apprenticeship and that it's going to take a little bit of time. And then more importantly, have a plan and just work like the clappers. That's it.
And be realistic.
Be realistic.
Yep. I guess as long as that pipeline of contacts is growing consistently, they shouldn't be discouraged. They should know that that is going to come to fruition if they follow a contact system like you do. And follow through. They'll win most of that business when it does come around.
Spot on.
Well, that's fantastic advice.
Thank you, mate.
Great to have a chat.
Cheers.
See you later.
Take care.